Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I, man, here from the blockrunner, MetaZone, Roby, and Mscribe. And today, let's talk about some tap, dude.
Taparoo
And some kangaroos and
TRAC and all the things we love and adore in this Bitcoin ecosystem space. Why? Because over the weekend, it went a little violent, dude.
it did.
Just like it's a tad. No, I remember, was it Friday? I think it might have been Friday.
Yeah.
Is whenever like everything started popping off.
Yeah.
Typically not one of our like recording days. So if it was, we would have been like hot off the presses, dude.
Right.
It's like the tap tokens rallying. So we did a little bit of, I guess,
reconnaissance.
It's like, what's going on? Like, why is the market all of a sudden like super exuberant? Maybe it's just, I don't know, the right technical analysis kind of came into play, but really it's the deployment of Taparooswap.
Yeah.
That's what I think made everything kind of like obvious from the lens of the market perspective, the invisible hand.
Tangible.
Yeah, right? Like, we say this all the time. Like, talk is cool and all, but when it comes down to execution and delivery, that's whenever the market like truly starts to understand value, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing the market recognizes.
Yeah, we saw it ourselves with DMT. It's like we talked about DMT for several months.
Yes.
Nobody gave a fuck.
As expected.
Right. So like with this protocol, framework needs to come a token, right? Hence NAT.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, that's a cool idea, guys.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what we're witnessing here.
Yeah, so we're looking at a tweet here by Ken. All-time high. We're talking about this. This was happened on Friday, I believe. So $11.70. And so what is a market cap? I think it was like around 120 million fully diluted.
Maybe even a little bit more than that. Yeah, something. It's definitely pretty high, right? So yeah, I mean, this is Tap waited a few months, I think, for the actual like TDE. So there was a TGE, I think back in June or July or August or something like that.
Yeah.
But due to market conditions, it's like, let's hold back for a few months and let things, kind of, I don't know, amplify within the space.
Yeah, it could have been market conditions, but it could have been like organizing the exchanges to get ready, because there's technical infrastructure that they need to implement in order to support Tap ecosystem.
That's a good point. Yeah, we know firsthand, like, anytime you're literally inventing a new protocol, you're introducing a whole new layer of infrastructure that needs to be supported. So, yeah, we're dealing with that with DMT and all these different assets. Yeah. So, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue on here. So we were talking about Taparooswap. It says we did it. First automated market maker swap on Bitcoin L1, no testnet. All mainnet. Be the first to enjoy the Uniswap-like experience natively on Bitcoin. This is the beginning of Bitcoin DeFi. Or OrdFi.
So this is it, dude. Remember back when we first discovered TRAC as a BRC20 sleeper token with like a 200,000 market cap?
I remember.
Benny was saying all these like very ambitious things, and we're like, damn, dude, is he actually gonna be able to pull this off?
Yeah.
Because we saw the value in that, right? It's like, okay, you guys are minting shitcoins here in BRC20 land. That's all fine and dandy and cool, but at some point that's gonna kind of exhaust and become super lame.
Yeah.
Until somebody brings in like new functionalities, like so we can have things like swaps, right? Because we saw that last cycle. That was huge on Ethereum.
That's right. Yeah, and Benny foresaw this.
Yeah.
He was like, there's no way that this is going to be like consistent throughout the entire cycle. And so, like you were saying, we need to build something that moves the ball forward. And he called this like almost a year ago that this was going to happen.
Yeah, it's just we didn't know exactly how, right? Until like the ICP partnership kind of manifested. Yeah,
that's when things started clicking.
Yeah, we were wondering ourselves, like, how are we going to like actually execute on like layer one programmability without like, any programmable like anchors to Bitcoin, right?
Right.
So it's like, little did we know there's this like very powerful technology stack that's already like anchored to Bitcoin, right? Called ICP.
Yeah. All right. So looking at a tweet here by Tap Protocol, and I guess this explains what Tap is at times it can be easy to overcomplicate the Tap protocol, but it's actually very straightforward. Tap is the most programmable L1 Bitcoin protocol, and it is the first to deliver smart contract functionality without users having to bridge or wrap their assets. Today's first ever automated market maker swap launched on Tap, and it's a perfect example of how powerful the protocol is. Bitcoin now has the decentralized peer-to-peer swaps and liquidity pools with liquidity providers earning that share of the 0.6% pool fees. So I think Uniswap has very similar distribution of LP tokens.
Yeah, so what does that look like? So the next tab here is like the actual like pools.
Yeah, here are the pools. So go to taparooswap.com, click on pools, and you're landed here.
Yeah, so you see they're ordered, I guess, in TVL, right? So what's TVL? That means total value lock. So essentially there's like a token pair, right? Bitcoin and Tap. So there's two tokens. You got to like lock up the equal amount of value for the two token pairs whenever you're contributing to an LP. So what do you get as a result of that? Essentially you get like a percentage allocation of the like transaction, the volume, right?
Yeah, correct.
So that is where that 0.06% comes in. So
that's right.
That's what's being essentially distributed to the LP providers, right? So
yeah, and that's supposed to act as an incentive to provide liquidity. If you believe that a token pair is going to do some volume,
which it should,
you want to supply liquidity so that you get a share of the fees that are being transacted.
Essentially, it becomes like a passive income opportunity. Like that is kind of like the superpower of DeFi. It's like and why we're kind of all here building on Bitcoin, right? It's like, damn, there's $1.5 trillion of Bitcoin just sitting there.
Yeah,
literally just sitting there.
Yeah,
and it's like, so if we could build a reliable, DeFi infrastructure for this like liquidity base, then at slowly but surely some of this like dormant asset base will start to kind of like lock up in these environments, right? Because there's passive yield generation opportunity.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the original thesis, right? That's what brought everybody here almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, and the best part is that this is all happening on L1, and so you don't have to, like they were saying, you don't have to wrap these tokens, you don't have to bridge these tokens.
Yeah,
these are all the native assets. Yeah, that's what's crazy.
That's important because bridging is terrifying, right?
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass and a half.
Yeah, it's been largely like responsible for some of the biggest like extraction events ever.
Yeah, hacks.
Yeah, so it's good not to have to like, put your precious Bitcoin through something like that, right? Like a risk like that.
Yeah, and so just like a small warning, this is like not even a few days old. So if you're going to provide liquidity, don't provide your house, right? Don't sell your house and like put it,
it's true.
Supply it as liquidity here.
Yeah, it reminds me of like early days of Unisat, right? Where we're like, when we discovered it, I think Unisat like got exploited a day or two before. So we're like, guys, this is obviously a big deal, something we should probably like play around with. But yeah, like PSA, don't go like full thrust.
Yeah, not yet.
Just a little tease.
Yeah.
Just to kind of like, experiment a bit,
Yeah, that's right.
But this is cool. Look at that. Number 2.
Look at that. DMT Nat has almost 0.1 Bitcoin. So that's like almost $6,000 roughly.
So we need to thrust a little deeper ourselves.
We need to go. We go a little bit deeper,
which we will. Yeah. And we've already been thinking about interesting like potential additional like incentive mechanisms. So it literally just in the theoretical stage at the moment, but we know this is like kind of like where it heads next, like this whole DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah,
it's like now we have these pools, right? So now how do you add additional layers of LP contribution incentives?
Yeah. So stay tuned to our interview with Benny. That's going to be happening this week.
Oh right, yeah. Are we dropping it like during the week or at the end of the week? What do you think?
Probably at the end of the week.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Stay tuned for that. That's a long wait, guys.
Yeah, it is a long wait, unfortunately. So Taproot, 4 days in since the launch, and so here's some metrics.
Yeah.
It says 600 new faces. Welcome to all of you who have participated. It says 400 plus swaps and counting, and then 100 bugs squashed in 4 days. So that's like significant traction.
Yeah, and it's like still super early, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, we're talking like the baby days. So yeah, it's kind of like where the ecosystem is now. I think people are slowly starting to understand like the Bitcoin infrastructure is the next wave, right? Like the actual. So we're gonna talk about that here in a second, but to understand how like all this is functioning, there's an interview here with the ICP, I think like core Dfinity group, right? That kind of breaks it all down. I remember watching this, and Benny was kind of like outlining, like the actual ICP canister like operations and stuff.
That's right.
So I was like, I was wondering, how's he gonna hook all that up to like something on L1?
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So this happened August 14th. So this was a few months ago. But yeah, you earlier sat down with ICP, and it's an incredible interview. And then here's like the timestamps for everything. I definitely recommend this watch because he does break down how the link between ICP and Bitcoin actually works.
Yeah.
And it's part of the native technology of ICP. That's why Benny gravitated towards it.
Yeah. So they talk about like threshold signing and such. Like the ICP has some interesting, I guess, like native technologies to its stack that I think like other L1s don't have.
Yeah.
So I think, definitely do some due diligence. It's worth understanding for sure.
It's interesting that that ICP thought of like creating technology that supports Bitcoin, because we're going to talk about how Cardano's essentially doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, the top decentralized exchanges ranked in 24 hours. So this is just an example of Uniswap, 24-hour volume.
Yeah.
What is that, $74 million?
That's right.
Yeah, $74 million in 24-hour volume. So this is what Taparoo is
targeting, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, any like L1 DEX to Bitcoin, like this is what your hopeful outcome is, right? Because Ethereum has them, Solana has them. Look, Radium's right there.
Yeah, look at this. So Radium, 388 million.
Yeah, so like any Pancake Swap, that's for Binance.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a well-matured class of, I guess, protocol in the crypto space, right? So we're literally just seeing them come online on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And like we just went over the metrics, like compared to this stuff, I mean, they're babies, dude. And like,
yeah, and look at the monthly visits. Ethereum is at 6.6 million, and Radium with almost 4 times the volume as at 1.5 million.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of degenerates out there.
There is.
Flipping memes. So that's kind of like the interesting part of all this is like, again, now that the infrastructure is coming online, it's like, what happens next, right? What who comes in to start building interesting products and like deploying new tokens, leveraging this like new liquidity infrastructure, right? Obviously, we have our own ideas of how to leverage this, and we will for sure. But like, who else is going to be out there, like, and recognizing that opportunity, right?
Yeah, I feel like Tap is so far ahead that any developer that's jumping in, I feel like they have to take a look here and see the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So then how do we discover Benny so early?
Yeah, it was through TRAC. I remember.
It was through TRAC.
Yeah, we just talked about that. So we're talking like peanut days of TRAC.
Yeah.
Because back then, the critical infrastructure needed was indexing, right?
Yeah.
And that was like the whole sole purpose of the TRAC network, still is. But it's to create a decentralized network of indexers, essentially, right? Which I don't think there's anybody even in the same realm coming close to like doing what TRAC is doing, right?
Yeah, so we found TRAC around 5 to 10 cents back in this time range.
Yeah.
And it's went ham since then. And it's still up from this moment, right? But it's significantly down from its all-time high.
Yeah, well, this is typical like accumulation phase type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we saw it happen like to the NAT token. It went through accumulation phase. Now it's like on its next leg up.
Yeah.
It happens to all assets. Like you come in, you have this like initial euphoria breakthrough of like awareness. That onboards like the initial community. Then of course through market forces that eventually exhausts.
Yeah.
Presents a new opportunity for new entrants of the ecosystem, right? You kind of like scoop it during that accumulation phase. Bitcoin does the same thing, right? Like every asset,
every cycle,
this.
yeah.
But as long as there's like actual fundamental value, like it's more difficult to assume the longevity of a meme token, right? But when you're talking about like fundamental tokens that have like real technology associated with them, I think
it's much easier.
It's much easier.
It's much easier to purchase.
To accumulate.
And then it's much easier for like the market to recognize that there's something here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what you're banking on is the market at some point, like recognizing the value, right?
Right. All right. So now we're looking at a tweet by TRAC. It says the source of Bitcoin's truth. The TRAC network provides Bitcoin indexing services. Indexers like TRAC constantly scan and read the blockchain and neatly organize the data into what you can imagine as digital filing cabinets. And they have a nifty little video over here.
Yeah, there's another thing to check out. If you want to understand how it all works, because this is like, Tap is infrastructure, but there's like even a deeper layer of infrastructure in order for Tap to even work. And it's TRAC, right?
Yeah.
So everybody who's building these applications, including ourselves, like we rely on these cabinets, right?
Yeah.
In order to build out like actual, like I guess, the right type of application execution. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that filing cabinet is important. They're essentially sifting through every single inscription, and they're reading that data and looking for specific packets of information that are relevant to what they're indexing.
Correct.
Like DMT.
Yeah. In our case, it's those elements, right?
Yeah.
Those elements that people are inscribing.
Deployments, block drops.
Yeah. All that is detailed information that
transfers.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot.
Yeah. Therefore, we're able to build an app like mscribe, right? That whenever you mint an asset, the interface understands like how much of that exists, right? Based on the already inscribed details and information that can be pulled from an indexer.
That's right.
It's very complicated stuff, but this is like what's been happening over the year and a half of development.
Yeah.
But it's getting to a point, dude, where we're there. It's like things are happening. We got swaps now. We got ANKR coming into support.
Yeah, ANKR is an infrastructure, like a big infrastructure player in crypto.
Yeah.
And they are supporting the TRAC ecosystem as a validator node, bringing unmatched reliability to secure the TAP blockchain. Yeah,
I remember we made a video like last cycle, 3 years ago or something, about ANKR, because ANKR had a huge role into the DeFi progression of things over on Ethereum. So it's pretty interesting to see like these other like primitive technology providers like noticing what's happening on Bitcoin and wanting to be a part of that.
Yeah, earlier today, maybe we can get into this in a different podcast, but you mentioned a good point, is that, it's easy to kind of onboard ecosystem partners like ANKR when you have a token. And that token is there to incentivize participants to support the network. And that's why the token exists. And here we are with evidence of such.
100%. Yeah, I mean, the token model, it plays many critical like factors, right? In building out a network effect.
Yeah,
that's what I see as TAP's like biggest, I guess, advantage over like if anybody's trying to build a protocol and not incorporating like a killer incentive mechanism like a protocol native token as part of like onboarding a community and supporting the ecosystem itself.
Yeah,
I feel like you're really gimping yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right now, like Ordinals doesn't have a token. And right now, people who are creating a website and they're creating a service on Ordinals, they're just running the Ord client.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no incentive to run the Ord client. And if there had been, we'd probably see the Ord client at a much bigger distributed state as a result.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think that's important. Something we're going to kind of like see down the line, like the actual effects of this.
Yeah.
But we've already seen it kind of like, I think that's a big reason why Ethereum has done so well. I mean, Ethereum comes with a network token. Of course, it's got that embedded functionality of like actually being utilized as like
required to move
a fee mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but still, it's like you got to incorporate these things into your like ecosystem sustainment, right?
Yeah. So how big is the ANKR network? It's roughly, the market cap is 225, and it had an all-time high market cap at
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, almost $1.5 billion.
Yeah, so this is definitely not a slouch of an infrastructure contributor.
Yeah.
Right? So this is good. This is a good sign. Other big players in the space, they're taking notice. They understand what's being built, right, and the value of that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and also in the description, you'll find a link here. It says ANKR becomes TAP validator node, and sort of explains what TAP is to their audience. And
last thing,
finally, we're talking about Sovereign here. So Sovereign is essentially, I guess, using Cardano as their programmable layer for Bitcoin OS, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's what remember we interviewed Eden Yago, talked about, we're going to develop something called Bitcoin OS into the future. Essentially, it'll like introduce ZK, I guess, proofing things like from Bitcoin L1's perspective. And so that was interesting. We're like, okay, we're waiting for that to roll out, and it did. And they got Cardano as like essentially to function the same way ICP functions for TAP. Right?
Yeah.
So this is another example of like a critical Bitcoin infrastructure protocol, right?
Yeah, and Charles, he's pretty excited about this.
Yeah, dude, he's dancing.
Yeah.
He took a break from his alien manhunt. You remember? He was out there like in the oceans.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you for your service.
It's pretty wild, dude. You go from like building blockchains to chasing aliens.
Hey, that's what you do when you have time, right?
And money.
Yeah.
That's definitely living the dream, right? But he's back, and he's all like, dude, it's all about Bitcoin now.
That's right.
Because of this stuff, right? So
yeah, so here, Sovereign to receive 10% of the Bitcoin OS's boss token allocation. So Sovereign stakers to decide on distribution. So Sovereign is essentially a token, and they're basically voting on whether or not they should receive 10% of Bitcoin OS's tokens.
Yeah, basically operate as like a foundation within the ecosystem. So this is standard stuff, but it's interesting to see. So these guys understand, right? Like they've built a new protocol for Bitcoin, and there's going to be a native token for this protocol. Therefore, from my perspective, it's like this is the Bitcoin infrastructure sector that you want to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
Right? Tap's already out there. We're going to have a boss token. There will be others for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Arch, I'm sure, will come with a token at some point.
That's right.
This is a big deal. Like these infrastructure plays are typically like the biggest opportunities in crypto.
Yeah.
And I feel like infrastructure of Bitcoin, there couldn't be a bigger opportunity.
No, that's one of the bigger narratives for Bitcoin, for all of crypto, really.
Not yet, but here we are.
Yeah.
Trying to front run that understanding, right?
Exactly.
Like we've done many times in the past. It's like, dude, be ready for this. At some point, everybody's going to understand. It's like, whoa, what? You're telling me people are like building Ethereum-esque protocols on Bitcoin? I want in.
Yeah.
And they have a token?
Yeah.
Shh. Let me in, guys.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. All right, well, that's it for us. We did cover a lot today with Tap, and we're talking about Taparooswap and everything that Benny and team have done. If there are any questions, please let us know in the comments section below. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.